Welcome back, my champions. It's so good to see you back. How was the quiz? Awesome, so good to hear this. You know why it's so easy? It's because of you. Because you work so hard and you follow everything that Mr. Max teaching you, and you're following the instruction, doing your hands-on practice, and then taking your quizzes. That's the beauty about it. That's what makes you special. That's what makes you score a math victory student. Okay, good. Well, in this sub lesson, we're going to talk about addition and subtraction involving fraction. Okay? Well, let's talk about it. Now, keep in mind, when you add fractions and also when you subtract fractions, there's a principle you got to obey. The principle is the denominator has to be same, identical. Okay? They have to be a common denominator. If they're not common denominator, you cannot add, you cannot subtract. You have to convert them into a common denominator. What do I mean by that? First, let's say for example, if I give you 3 over 7 plus 2 over 7. Now, they both are common denominator. 7, 7. That means I can add them. 3 plus 2 is 5 over 7. You carry the 7 across. You do not add it or subtract it. Alright? You just carry that. The numerator is the one you're adding it. Okay? Pretty much like this. If I have a pizza and another pizza, okay? And they broke in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the first one, I got this. Okay, I'm adding with the, again, this one also 7 parts. With this. See that? So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. And how many sections per pizza has? 7. See that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Alright? So I'm adding this 2. Gives me 5 and then over 7 out of the 7 parts of a pizza. Okay? So it's very important, okay? The denominator has to be same. Okay, let's say for example, if I give you 1 over 3 plus, let's say 2 over 6. Are the denominators same? No. Can I add them? No. Why? Because the denominators are not same, okay? So what I have to do? I have to find a common denominator. So in this case, what would be a common denominator? 6 would be a common denominator. Why is that? Because 6 can be divided by 6 itself. 6 also can be divided by 3. See that? So that means I'm going to put 6 and 6. Alright? How do I get from 3 to 6? I multiply this by 2. That means I'm going to multiply this also by 2. So that becomes 2 over 6 plus, since I bring the 6, I just bring the 2 here. So 2 plus 2 is 4 over 6. You just carry the denominator. You do not do anything with it. You do not add. Okay? Now, can I simplify this? Definitely I can. I can find what is my common number that I can can I simplify this? Definitely yes. Because why? 4 and 6 can be divided by 2. I can divide 4 by 2. I can divide 6 by 2. That gives me 2 over 3. That's my final answer. Okay, so very important. The denominator has to be same. If they are not, find the common denominator. Okay, say for example 3 over 7 plus 2 over, let's say 14. Okay, let's say 5 over 14. Are they common denominator? No. Can I find a common denominator? Yes. That means I cannot add this right now, but I can add them once I find the common denominator, which would be what? 14, because 7 can go inside 14, 14 can go inside 14 itself. Alright, so I'm going to make the both to be 14 and 14. How do I get 7 to 14? Multiplying it by 2. That means I multiply 3 by 2 also. 3 times 2 is 6. 14, that means I just bring the 5 down. Alright, because I maintained the same thing. I didn't change the 14, I didn't expand that. Alright, now I can add that. 6 plus 5 is 11 over, just carry the denominator. 11 over 14. Okay, see that? So let's say for example, if I have 2 over 5 plus 1 over 3. Can I add them? Is it 3 over 8? No. Mr. Mac, you just say we cannot add them if they're not common denominator. You are right. You cannot add them because they're not common denominator. Very good. Good job. Okay, so what we have to do? We have to find the common denominator. So what would be the common for 5 and 3? 15. Very good. One way of doing it, 5 times 3 is 15. And you find, is there anything less than 15 that can accommodate 5 and 3? There isn't. So 15 is the best one. 15 will be the lowest common denominator for 5 and 3. Okay, so in 15, how do I get 5 to 15? I multiply that by 3. If I multiply 5 by 3, that means I also multiply the numerator, which is 2 by 3, which gives me 6. What about 3 to 15? I multiply that by 5. Okay, that means I multiply 1 also by 5. That makes it 5 over 15. Okay, and I'm adding them. So I can add 5 and 6 now. 6 and 5 now, because both has the common denominator. Makes it 11 over 15 right there. Very easy, isn't it? Okay, so 11 over 15. Now what happens if I give you two fractions? Okay, that denominator, it's that you don't know what the common denominator would be. Okay, let's say for example I give you, let's say 7 over 12 plus 3 over 8, and you want to find the lowest common denominator and you don't know what it would be. So what would you do? The best way to do is using the one-leg ladder method. Okay, the one-leg ladder method. You put the 12 and 8. Start with 2. Okay, the smallest number you want to start is 2. 12 divided by 2 is 6. 8 divided by 2 is 4. And then 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 4 divided by 2 is 2. Okay, now 3. Always okay. Okay. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Okay, always go to the smallest one first. So it'll be 2. Okay, 2 divided by 2 is 1. And then you just bring the 3 down. And then you take 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. And just bring 1 down. Your key is to bring it all the way down to 1. Once they both are down to 1, these are your common denominator. You can multiply them out. Okay, 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 3 is 24. So 24 would be your common denominator that will accommodate 12 and 8. So how do I go from 12 to 24? Multiply that by 3. How do I go from 12 to 24? How do I go from 12 to 24? I multiply this by 2. 2 times 12 is 24. That means I multiply this also by 2. That makes it 14. 2 times 7 is 14. How do I go from 8 to 24? I multiply this by 3. 3 times 8 is 24. That means I multiply this also by 3. 3 times 3 is 9. See that? Okay, so 14 plus 9. Okay, so let's line it up. 4 plus 9 is 13. So you put 3, carry 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. So it's 23 over 24. See that? And that's your final answer. Okay. Now always look at this and see, can you reduce or simplify it? If you can simplify, it's good. But if not, just leave it the way it is. So you can't simplify. Okay? So that's one more step. You not necessarily after you add, you're done. Check and see. Now and see, make sure you can simplify it. Okay? Just like this one right here. After we add it, gives us 4 over 6. That's not the final answer. I can reduce it. I can simplify it by dividing 2 with the numerator and the denominator, which gave me 2 over 3. Alright? Very good. Okay, good. Now let's, Mr. Beck, erase the board and let's talk about when there's some mixed numbers you're adding, what happens. Alright? I'll be back within a few seconds. Alright, my dear students, let's say for example, if I give you 3 plus 1 over 2. Pretty much you put it 3, 1 over 2. That's it. See that? Now let's say for example 4 plus 2, 3 over 4. Now when you have whole numbers, you just add the whole numbers. Okay? So when you have a whole numbers and a fraction, with the whole number and a fraction, you add the whole numbers and then add the fractions separately. Okay? So in this case I got whole number and a whole number. 4 plus 2 is 6. No fraction to add, just bring the 3 over 4 across. That's it. Now let's say for example, if I have 3, 1 over 5 plus 2, 1, let's say 3 over 5. See that? So now I got a number, a mixed number, all right, with whole number and a fraction, whole number and a fraction. And the nice thing is this both fraction has a common denominator. That means I can add them too. First add the round number, the whole number. 3 plus 2 is what? 5. Since they both has common denominator, I bring the denominator across. 1 plus 3 is 4, right there. So it becomes 5, 4 over 5. Very easy, very straightforward, okay? Make sure the denominators are common before you can add them. If it's not, what happens if it's not? Let's say for example, 2, 1 over 3 plus, let's say 4, 3 over 4. How do we do this? Exactly, you find the common denominator. Let Mr. Mac change it for right now. Let's just put 1 for right now, okay? Because let's just learn doing this one first, okay? 1 over 4, all right? I'll show you why I change it to 1 later on, okay? So now we're going to find that. What do we do first? We add the whole number first. 2 plus 4 is 6. Now look at the between 3 and 4. What is the common denominator for 3 and 4? 12. Very good. So we're going to make that into 12 and then 12. How do I get from 3 to 12? By multiplying 3 by 4. If I multiply 3 by 4, I multiply 1 also by 4. So it becomes 1 times 4 is 4. 4 over 12. How do I get from 4 to 12? I multiply this by 3. 4 times 3 is 12. If I multiply denominator by 3, I also have to multiply numerator by 3. So that gives me 1 times 3 is 3. Now they both are common denominator. 4 plus 3 is 7 over 12. I carry the denominator, 7 over 12. So 2 plus 4 is 6. Adding the fraction by converting them to common denominator gives me 7 over 12. That's my final answer. Always check and see if you can reduce this or simplify it, another word, okay? If you can, that's it right there. Okay, good. Now let's go back. Earlier I had it, let's say for example, 2, 1 over 3 plus 4, 3 over 4. Okay, now before we do that, I want you to look at this one. Let's say for example, if I have 5, 3 over 2. Now look at this one. What is this one? Improper fraction, because the numerator is greater than the denominator. Okay, let's just block this 5 right now. Let's change this. What would this be? Okay, so we're going to use the arrow down method, and then we're going to say 3 divided by 2, 3 divided by 2. Okay, so that means what? We're going to use the long division with the cage approach. We're going to put the 3 inside the cage and 2 outside. Alright, because 3 is kind of into Mr. Mac, goes inside. 2 is kind of out, I put outside. In 3 is how many 2? 1. 1 times 2, 2. Minus 3 minus 2 is 1. That's my balance. That means this 3 over 2 is also equals to 1. The 2 is the denominator. So I'm going to put the denominator, the balance is 1. So that 3 over 2 is also 1, 1 over 2. Now we also got 5. I'm going to add the 5 to it. So that makes it 6, 1 over 2. That been converted to this form. See that? Very important to understand this. Okay? Alright, because this is also means what? 5 plus 3 over 2. This whole thing. Alright? Okay? And that's what we did. See that? We converted this into this. 5 plus 1, 1 over 2. 1 plus 5 is 6. 1, 1 over 2. Alright? Okay, now let's do that one. 2 plus 4 is 6. Now we got fraction to add. Are they common denominator? No. So we have to find the common denominator. What would be the common denominator for 3 and 4? 3 times 4 is 12. Okay, so 12 would be the lowest common denominator for 3 and 4. So how do I get from 3 to 12? By multiplying it by 4. 3 times 4 is 12. That means I have to multiply the numerator also by 4. 1 times 4 is 4. How do I get from 4 to 12? I multiply this by 3. 4 times 3 is 12. That means I'm also going to multiply the numerator also by 3. 3 times 3 is 9. Now let's add them. 4 plus 3 is 13. And 12 is the common denominator. Just carry across. But look at that, 13 over 12. It's an improper fraction. All right, before I put it back in there, let me change that to a mixed number. All right, so mixed number, I use the arrow down method. That means 13 divided by 12. All right, I'm going to use the long division or the cage approach. 13 is going to into Mr. Mac, I'm going to put inside the cage. 12 is going to out from Mr. Mac, I'm going to put outside the cage. In 13, there's how many 12? 1. 1 times 12, 12. 13 minus 12 is 1. So, which means, what that means? 1, the whole number, this is your denominator, and this is your remainder, which is your numerator. Now, I'm going to put it right here. Add this to 1 over 12, which is what? 7, 1 over 12. And that should be your final answer. Alright? Okay? Does that make sense? Pretty straightforward, isn't it? Okay, that's why I wanted to show this way first before we go to down, because I want you to understand this first, how to add. Alright? Okay, good. Alright, let's do another one. Let's say, for example, if I have 5, 3 over 7 plus 2, 4 over 5. Okay? And I'm adding this. So what's my first step is? Add the whole number. Exactly, very good. 5 plus 2 is 7. Once I add the whole number, now I can add the fraction. Okay, so find the common denominator for 7 and 5. Exactly, 7 and 5, the lowest common denominator can easily be found is 7 times 5, which is 35. Okay, 7 times 5 is 35. So 35 and 35. Okay, now how do I go from 7 to 35? By multiplying 7 by 5. Okay, if I multiply the denominator with 5 to get to 35, I also have to multiply the numerator with 5, which would be 3 times 5 is 15. See that? Okay, plus. How do I get from 5 to 35? I multiply this by 7. If I multiply the denominator by 7, I also have to multiply the numerator by 7. 4 times 7 is 28. Okay, so now I can add them. But it's a big number we're adding, we line them up. Okay, so we know that the denominator is going to be same, so we set up the numerator 15 and 28. Always line them up. Alright, very important, line them up right. 8 plus 5 is 13, so 3 carry 1. 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 1 is 4, so 43. But look at this, 43 over 35. Exactly, it's an improper fraction. So I have to use the arrow down method to make it into a mixed number before I can combine with 7. Alright, so that means it's a 43 divided by 35. So I'm going to use the long division or use the cage approach. 43 is into Mr. Mac, I put inside the cage. 35 is kind of out from Mr. Mac, I put outside the cage. In 43 there's how many 35? And we know it's only 1 can fit in there. Okay, so that means 35. 1 times 35 is 35. Subtract 3 minus 5. I cannot. I borrow from 4, which will become 4 becomes 3. 3 becomes 13. 13 minus 5 is 8. Okay, 8. 3 minus 3 is 0. Okay, so that means this would be 1 would be my whole number. 35 is my denominator. And what's the balance? 8. So now I can combine that with this. Plus 1, 8 over 35. So 7 plus 1 is 8. 8 over 35. And that should be your final answer for this. Pretty easy, isn't it? Very straightforward, okay? It's just understanding it, alright? The key thing is what? The denominator has to be common. If the denominator is not common, you cannot add them. Alright? Pay attention to that, okay? Then when you have the next thing is when you have an improper fraction, convert that into mixed numbers and then add that to the round number, the whole number. Okay? Good. Let Mr. Mac erase this and let's talk about when you have 3 fractions you're adding. How do you do that? Actually, it's very easy. I'll see you in a few seconds. Alright, my students, let's say for example, if I were to give you, let's say 2 over 9 plus 1 over 3 plus 3 over 5 and ask you to add this. Of course you cannot add it, am I right? Why? Why not? Let's add them. 2 plus 1 is 3, 3 plus 3 is 6, 9 plus 3 is 12, 12 plus 5 is 17. No, Mr. Mac, I know, I'm just playing with you. I know you're saying, Mr. Mac, it's time for me to teach you. Good, I want that, because that's what my goal is, to make you so good that you should be able to go and teach others. Help the students, help your friends, all right, your classmates. That's another best way to learn. Do not keep the knowledge to yourself, share it with others, all right? What do you learn from Mr. Mac? If you see your friend, your classmate, or someone that's struggling with mathematics, or your little brother or your little sister struggling with mathematics, tell them, hey, let me help you. I know, because when you help others, when you teach others, you learn better. The material that you're going to teach them will reinforce in you better, and you will remember math for life. Even now you are, all right, but it just helps you further, it deepens it. Okay, all right, come back here. Okay, all right, so now we got 3 fractions. So how are we going to do that? And then not common denominator. If it's a common denominator, yes. If I have a 2 over 9 plus 1 over 9 plus, let's say, 5 over 9, they all are common denominator. All I can do is what? 2 plus 1 is 3, 3 plus 5 is 8, 8 over 9. Very easy, isn't it? All right. But in this case, it's not. Okay, what do we do? Exactly, we use the one-leg ladder method. Okay, one-leg ladder method. Put the 9, put the 3, and put the 5. Okay, start with the smallest number. In this case, all are odd numbers. The smallest I can start with 3. Okay, 9 divided by 3 is 3, 3 divided by 3 is 1, 5 I cannot divide by 5, so I just bring the 5 down. What's the next smallest number? This is already 1, so the next one would be this 3. Okay, 3 divided by 3 is 1, you just bring the 1 down and bring the 5 down. And what's the next number? Left is only 5, so we're going to divide 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1, just bring the 1 all down. See that? Our goal is to make everything to be 1, 1, 1. All right, once done, just multiply. 3 times 3 is 9, 9 times 5 is 45. That's your common denominator. 45, 45, 45. That's the lowest common denominator by using the one-leg ladder method. All right? Okay? So, how do I get from 9 to 45? I multiply this by 5. That means I'm going to multiply this also by 5, which is 2 times 5 is 10. How do I get 3 to 45? I multiply this by 15. How do I know that? Or you can even take 45 divided by 3 is 15. Okay? So that means I also have to multiply this by 15. Alright? So 1 times 15 is 15. How do I go 5 to 45? I multiply that by 9. 9 times 5 is 45. That means I also multiply 3 by 9. That gives me 27. Now look at that. 45, 45, 45. They all are common denominator. Can I add them? Definitely yes. Okay? So always use the pairing method of adding. 10 plus 15 plus 27. Add this two first and then you add that. Okay? So 10 plus 15. 0 plus 5 is 5. 1 plus 1 is 2. And then bring the 27. 5 plus 7 is 12. Carry 1. 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 plus 2 is 5. So that gives you 52 over 45. The denominator just carry across. We're done. We're done. We are done. I know, we're not. Good job. That's what makes you score a mathematics student. That's what makes you the best. You looked at it and you said, Mr. Mac, we're not done yet. Why? Because it's an improper fraction. The numerator is greater than the denominator. It cannot be done. We got to simplify it. We got to change it to a mixed number. Very good. Good job. Okay, good. All right, you're right. It is. We have to use the arrow down method and we use the long division. Use the Cage approach. Okay, before that, we translate that, okay, in the form of division. So 52 divided by 45. Okay, so 52 is kind of into Mr. Mac. I'm going to put it inside the cage. 45 is outside. I'm going to put outside the cage. In 52, there's how many 45? 1. 1 can fit in there, okay? 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 4 is 4. Minus 2 minus 5. I can't borrow from 5. 5 becomes 4. 2 becomes 12. 12 minus 5 is 7. 4 minus 4 is 0, okay? So that means this is equals to, that's a round number, 1, a whole number, okay? And 45 is the denominator. So I put 45 and 7 is going to be your numerator. Very good. That's it. You can't simplify this any further. You can't reduce it, okay? So leave it the way it is. 1, 7 over 45. Good job. Okay, very good. You have to reduce it, all right? I mean, simplify. You can't leave it as an improper fraction. Okay, good. Now, let's say, for example, if I give you another problem, I say 1 over 3 plus 1 over 2 plus 1 over 5. Simple number like this. Just multiply them to find a common denominator. 3 times 2 is what? 6. 6 times 5? Very good. It's 30. So 30 would be the lowest common for 3, 2, and 5. Alright? Then just put 30, 30, 30. Okay? So how do I go from 3 to 30? Multiplying 3 by what? 10. Very good. Because 10 times 3 is 30. If I multiply denominator by 10, I have to multiply the numerator by 10. 1 times 10 is 10. How do we go from 2 to 30? 15. How do I know 15? 30 divided by 2 is what? 15. Okay? You can always reverse it. So not to find out what number to multiply the denominator with. That's why you're asking yourself. The key is finding, this is so that you know what to multiply the numerator with, alright? That's the key is, okay? So 1 times 15 is 15, alright? How do I get from 5 to 30? Exactly, multiplying that with 6, alright? That means if I multiply denominator by 6, I have to multiply the numerator also by 6. 1 times 6 is 6. So now I can add them. 10 plus 15, so line them up. 10 plus 15, 0 plus 5 is 5, 1 plus 1 is 2, so 25. Then I combine this. Now I'm going to combine with that. Plus that is 6. 5 plus 6 is 11, 1 carry 1, 1 plus 2 is 3. So it gives me 31 over, what do I do to the denominator? Just carry across 30. You never change the denominator. Denominator always stay the same. Is the numerator is the one you add them. When only for addition and subtraction. When we come to multiplication, division, things going to change. But don't worry about right now. Let's concentrate on addition, okay? So now look at this. Are we done? Exactly. The shirt is inside out, which is not proper. Am I right? So we're going to use the arrow down method, okay? So we can translate that into a division. 31 divided by 30. Okay, so we're going to use the long division using the cage approach. 31 is kind of into Mr. Mac. I'm going to put inside the cage. 30 is kind of out from Mr. Mac. I'm going to put outside the cage. In 31, that's how many 30? 1. 1 times 30 is 30. Minus 1 minus 0 is 1. 3 minus 3 is 0. So that's my balance. So 1 is my round number. Okay, so that means 1. 30 is my denominator. And 1 is my balance. Right there. 1 over 30. That's it. I told you it's very easy. It's easy, isn't it? It's not because it's easy. It's because you're the best. You are. All right? And I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud you are my Mr. Max student. And you belong to Score A Math Victory. And that's what makes you so special. It is. You're very special. Alright, are you ready for hands-on practice? Let's do it. Okay, let's do that. Let's do for the addition let's do some practice on addition and then we'll do some practice on subtraction after you learn subtraction. Alright, okay, give me a few seconds and I'll check on Pablo and we'll call him out. He's gonna be surprised. Actually, he is working on putting some hands-on practice, but he didn't thought it'll be this quick. He's thinking. He thought that we're going to do it after we're done with subtraction and then call him out. We're going to make him twice to walk. Alright? Okay, I'll be back with you in a few seconds. Alright, my dear students, are you excited we're going to do some hands-on practice, all right? Okay, good. Let's go, Pablo. Let's go, Pablo. Pablo, come on over, Pablo. Yes, come on over. Bring the worksheet with you. Here it is, my dear students. Here's our dear Pablo, and he's going to hand over. He worked really hard preparing the questions for you, and have fun with it, okay? Make sure to pause the video, and then once you're done, come back. And again, if you think you're struggling, I know you won't, but if you do, go back and review the video and then go and do it, okay? So don't wait until for Mr. Matt to do it, because I want you to have your hands on it. I want you to practice on your own and do it the best you can. And what do you have to do some research as well. How's that research means? Go back to my lesson I was teaching you and research that. How did Mr. Mac did this? All right, let me apply that same principle. All right, that's what I meant by research, okay? All right, here it is, my dear students. Have fun. Okay, all right. Okay, let's look at it. Oh my goodness. Pablo, he did give you 10 questions, which is good. The more is better, isn't it? The more practice you get. Am I right? All right, let's do it. Let's do the problem number 1. Problem number 1. Now, this says add the following fraction. So, pretty much everything we're doing in this one will be going to be addition, all right? So, we got 5 over 7 plus 1 over 7. Pretty easy. Why is that? Because they're both as common denominator. If you just add them, all right? 5 plus 1 is 6 over 7. You bring the denominator across. Okay, good. Now, problem number 2. You're given 2 over 7 plus 3 over 14. Can we add this? Not yet. We can, but not yet. We have to find the common denominator. Look between 14 and 7. Can you see a common something that between both of them? That's right, 14, all right? That's what you want to do. Before you try to multiply or find something, look between these two numbers. Look like 14 can be the common denominator. So I'm going to put 14 as the common denominator. How do I get 7 to 14? I multiply that by 2. That means I'm going to multiply the numerator also by 2. So 2 times 2 is 4. And this one, since 14 is still the same, I'm just going to bring the 3 down. Now I can add them. 4 plus 3 is, very good, 7. 14, bring it across as a denominator. You just bring it across. Now look at it. 7 over 14. Does it tell you you can do something with it? Exactly. You can simplify or reduce it, because you can divide this by 7 and you can divide this by 7. That means 7 divided by 7 is 1, and then 14 divided by 7 is 2. And that's your final answer. 1 over 2. All right? Okay, good. Now let's look at problem number 3. Problem number 3 is 3 over 5 plus 1 over 4. No, because 5 and 4, there's nothing common between them. So I'm going to multiply them. 5 times 4 is 20. So I'm going to make 20 as my common denominator for 5 and 4. So I'm going to put a plus. So how do I get from 5 to 20? I multiply that by 4. That means I'm going to multiply the numerator also by 4. So 3 times 4 is 12. How do I get from 4 to 20? I multiply that by 5. That means numerator also I'm going to multiply that by 5. Very important, this principle right there, okay? All right? That means 1 times 5 is 5. Now I can add. Why? The denominator are identical, are common. 12 plus 5 is 17. So in other words, 12 plus 5, line them up. 2 plus 5 is 7, and then bring 1 down. So 17 over 20. Exactly. Never ever add them. Just bring the 20 across. The denominator never changes in addition or subtraction. All right? Okay. Only for addition and subtraction. All right? Okay, good. Now ask yourself, can I simplify? No. That's it. That's your answer. Okay, good. Now let's look at problem number 4. Now problem number 4, you're given 6 plus 2 over 3. Pretty easy, isn't it? What is that? 6, 2 over 3. That's it. You combine that. Something we learned from the very beginning of the lessons. Okay, good. All right. Okay, 5. Now 5, you got 4, 1 over 3 plus 3, 1 over 3. So the first thing when you have a mixed number you're adding, you add the whole numbers first, okay? The whole numbers, 4 and 3, you add them first. 4 plus 3 is 7. Now they both are common denominator. That means I can add them. 1 plus 1 is 2. Carry the 3 across. Okay, very important, okay? In the common denominator, you can carry them across. Just add the numerator. Always add the whole number first, okay? Now let's look at number 6. Number 6, you're given 3 plus 5, 3 over 4. So now look at that. You got a whole number and a mixed number. Doesn't matter. Add the whole number. 3 plus 5 is 8. And there's no fraction for 3 over 4 to add with. Just carry across. That's it. You got it? Good job. Good job. I'm proud of you. Okay, let's look at number 7. Number 7, you got 2, 3 over 8 plus 1, 1 over 4. Okay, so you got 2 mixed numbers. So first we add the round numbers or the whole numbers. Okay, 2 plus 1 is 3. Now we're going to add the fraction. In this case we cannot add yet. Why? They're not common denominator. Look in between of this. Can I make one of them to be a common? 8. 8 can do that. So I'm going to put 8, 8, 8. Since 8, I'm just going to bring the 3 down. Alright, because we didn't expand that. This one we did expand from 4 to 8. What we did, we multiplied that by 2. If I multiply the denominator by 2, I have to do the same thing with the numerator. So that makes it 1 times 2 is 2. I'm adding that. 3 plus 2 is 5. Because why can I add them? Now I already changed it to common denominator. That's why I'm adding them. Alright, and I bring the 8 across. Then I take this and I put it right there. 5 over 8. That's my final answer. You got it? Good job. I'm proud of you. Okay, good. All right. Okay. All right. So 5 over 8. Now let's do problem number 8. So problem number 8, we're given 3 over 5 plus 1 over 2 plus 2 over 3. We got 3 fractions we're adding. So we got to find a common denominator for all 3 of them. Now you can use the one leg ladder method. Alright, so let's say for example I put one leg ladder method. I put the 5 and I put the 2 and I put the 3. See that? So what the smallest number I can divide first? 2. So 2 divided by 2 is 1, and then bring the 5 and 3 down. Okay, what's the next smallest number I can divide this one? 3. Okay, so 3 divided by 3 is 1, and bring the 1 down, and then 5. And what's the next one? Will be 5. So 5 divided by 5 is 1, 1, 1. Our goal is to make it down to 1, 1, 1. So now this is my denominator. So 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 5 is 30. So I'm going to make all this to be 30 as my denominator. See that? How do I go from 5 to 30? Times it with 6. I'm timesing this by 6. That means I'm also going to times the numerator by 6. 3 times 6 is 18. How do I go from 2 to 30? I can take 30 divided by 2 gives me 15. So I'm multiplying it by 15. Now why am I doing that? Because that way I know what am I going to multiply the numerator with, which is 15 also. Okay, so 15 times 1 is 15. How do I go from 3 to 30? I multiply that by 10. If I multiply the denominator by 10, I multiply the numerator also by 10. 2 times 10 is 20. Okay, so now I can combine them because they all, or add them or sum them, alright, because they all has the same denominator. So I'm going to add this 2 and then I'm going to do that one. We're going to use the pairing method. Okay, so we're going to pair this by combining this 2 and then we're going to combine with that. So we're going to line it up. So we're going to take 18 plus 15. Okay, 8 plus 5 is 13. So 3 carry 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. Plus 1 is 3. Alright, we combine these two. Now bring the 20. Line it up. 3 plus 0 is 3. 3 plus 2 is 5. So 53. So it gave me 53 over 30. Alright, am I done? No. Why? It's an improper fraction. I have to express that in a form of mixed numbers. Okay, mixed numbers, because it's an improper fraction. Okay, 53 over 30. Okay, the numerator is greater than the denominator. That means we're going to use the arrow down method. So it's 53 divided by 30. So 53 divided by 30. So what method we're going to use? Long division method. Okay, we're going to use the cage approach. 53 is kind of into Mr. Mac. I'm going to put inside the cage. 30 is kind of out from Mr. Mac. I'm going to put outside the cage. In 53, there's how many? 30. 1. 1 times 30 is 30. I'm going to subtract. 3 minus 0 is 3. 5 minus 3 is 2. So 23. Okay. So that means 1 is the whole number. 1. 30 is the denominator. And the remainder is 23. Use that sequence. 1 whole number. The 30 is the denominator. So this will be there. Automatically you'll become your numerator. Alright. So that's the answer. 123 over 30. Okay. Good. Well, let Mr. Mac erase the board so I have some room, and we will do the problem number 9 and 10. And I'll be back with you in a few seconds. Alright. Ready for problem number 9? Okay. Problem number 9. It gives you 2 1 over 3 plus 3 1 over 2 plus 1 3 over 4. Now don't let this intimidate you, because they're very easy. The number looks so like, oh, kind of scares you, isn't it? No, because you shouldn't. Why? Because you're Score A Math Week 3 and you belong to Score A Math Week 3 and you are Mr. Max student. Mr. Max student never let anything intimidate you. When mathematics problems is given to you, you look at it with a joy. Tell them, it's easy, it's fun, and I'm going to solve it. Because why? Because you belong to Score A Math Week 3 and you've been trained by Mr. Mac. Okay, good. With that attitude, you look at the problem, it's going to be so easy. It is. Look at it. Let's do it. Look at that. Alright, what do we do first thing? We're going to add the whole number first. Okay, 2 plus 3 is 5. Plus 1 is 6. So we're going to put 6. Next, what are we going to do? We're going to make sure the fraction has the common denominator. Alright? See that? You break it up piece by piece, and it should be very easy. Alright? And they are not. They're not common denominator. So we're going to find the common denominator. So what method we're going to use to find the lowest common denominator for 3, 2, and 4? The one-leg ladder method. Okay? So we're going to put 3, the 2, and 4. We're going to start with the smallest number, which will be 2. 2, we can't just bring the 3 down. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 4 divided by 2 is 2. Okay? Then we're going to do another 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. And then bring the 1 down. And then 3, we cannot bring it 3 down. So 3 divided by 3 is 1, 1, 1. Right there. See that? Now I multiply. 2 times 2 is 4. Times 3 is 12. See that? 12. That's going to be my denominator. That's going to be my common denominator. 2 times 2 is 4. Plus 3 is 12. Okay? That's how I find my common denominator. Okay? So how do I get from 3 to 12? I multiply this by 4. That means I'm going to multiply this by 4. So 1 times 4 is 4. How do I go from 2 to 12? I times this with 6. I'm going to times this also by 6. 1 times 6 is 6. Alright? How do I go from 4 to 12? I times this with 3. 4 times 3 is 12. That means I'm going to times this also by 3. 3 times 3 is 9. Very good. Now I can combine them. I'm going to use the pairing method. 4 plus 6 is 10. 10 plus 9 is 19. 19 over 12. 4 plus 6 is 10. 10 plus 9 is 19. Alright? Now look at that. Before I put it over there, 19 over 12 should tells you it is improper fraction. The moment I say improper fraction, use the arrow down method. Alright? So that means 19 divided by 12. Okay, so we're going to use the long division, or in other words, we're going to use the cage approach. 19 is kind of into Mr. Mac, I'm going to put it inside the cage. 12 is kind of out, I'll put outside the cage. In 19, there's how many? 12. 1. 1 times 12 is 12. 9 minus 2, 7. 1 minus 1, 0. Okay, so that means this is equals to 1, the whole number or the round number. Okay, and that's my denominator. And this will become my remainder, which is the numerator. Okay, now I combine that with that. Plus 1, 7 over 12. 6 plus 1 is 7. So 7 over 12. before we decide this could be our final answer, what we have to look up and see? 7 and 12, can you reduce it? No. This is it. That means that's the final answer. Alright? Okay, always keep in mind when you come to this level, ask yourself before you move to next question, 7 and 12, can I divide that? Can I find a common number that I can divide 7 and 12 with? There isn't one. So good, that means I'm done. Now you go to question number 10, problem number 10, okay? Problem number 10. Alright, we got 2, 5 over 6 plus 4, 7 over 9 plus 1, 1 over 2. Alright? Is it supposed to intimidate you? No! Look at that, how we did that one. We apply the same principle. Okay? We break it. We do step by step. You got mixed number, mixed number, mixed number. Add the whole numbers first. Okay? 2 plus 4, 6. 6 plus 1, 7. Alright? So 7. Next, what are we going to do? We're going to add the fractions. But look at that fraction, the denominators. They're not common. If they're not common, and we know there are 3 fractions, so the best way to find the lowest common for 3 fractions with the different denominators using the one-leg ladder method. Okay? So we're going to put the 6, 9 and 2. Okay? We're going to start with 2. So this one becomes 6 divided by 2 is 3, 9 we cannot just carry down, 2 divided by 2 is 1. So now we're going to do with the 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1, 9 divided by 3 is 3, 1 just carry down. And then we're going to do 3, 3 divided by 3 is 1, just bring the rest of the 1 down. Our goal is what? With the one-leg ladder method, to bring it down to 1, 1, 1. So once I come to 1, 1, 1, now it times 2 times 3 times 3. So 2 times 3 is 6, 6 times 3 is 18. Okay? So 2 times 3 times 3 is 18. And that's going to be my common. That's going to be my common denominator. Okay? How do I go from 6 to 18? I multiply this by 3. 6 times 3 is 18. See that? Okay? That means I multiply 5 by also 3. 5 times 3 is 15. How do I go from 9 to 18? I multiply that by 2. If I multiply this by 2, I multiply that also by 2. 7 times 2 is 14. How do I go from 2 to 18? I multiply that by 9. 9 times 2 is 18. That means I multiply the numerator also by 9. 1 times 9 is 9. Alright? Then what do? I use the pairing method to combine them, to add them. I add these two first and then I add with that one. Alright? So let's line it up. So 15 plus 14, 5 plus 4 is 9. 1 plus 1 is 2. So we combine these two. Now bring the 9. 9 plus 9 is 18. Carry 1. 8 carry 1. 1 plus 2 is 3. So it gives me 38 over 18. Look at that. 38 over 18. What she tells you? Very good. It's an improper fraction. The moment you say the improper fraction, arrow down should goes down that way. Right away. Okay? Now we translate that into division. 38 divided by 18. Then what method we're going to use? The long division method. So we're going to use the cage approach. 38 is kind of into Mr. Mac. I'm going to put it inside the cage. 18 is kind of out from Mr. Mac. I'm going to put outside the cage. In 18, there's some, in 38, there's somebody 18. 2, okay, we know that 2 times 8 is 16, carry 1, 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. See that? 8 minus 6 is 2, 3 minus 3 is 0. Alright, so that tells you what? 2 is the round number or the whole number, 18 is your denominator, and your balance is going to be which one? The numerator, the 2. Now, before we add it to down, look at this, 2 over 18. I can simplify. I can divide this by 2. I can divide this by 2. That gives me 2, 1 over 9. Now I add it to this one. Plus 1, 2, 1 over 9. 7 plus 2 is 9. 1 over 9. That's my answer. See that? When you do step by step, it does look intimidating. It does look as though it's going to be very difficult, but it's not. See that? When we just went and broke it up, step by step, look at that. Came to the final answer. Okay, what we did? Let's review. We had 3 mixed numbers. First step was we add the whole numbers, which 2 plus 4 plus 1, we put 7 right there. Next, we added the fractions, but we looked at the fractions, they're not common. So we found the common denominator by using the one-leg ladder method, which we found out the common denominator to be 18. So we put 18, 18, 18. Then we found out how 6 went into 18 by timesing by 3, and we times the numerator by 3. And this one by 2, numerator by 2. This one by 9, numerator by 9. And that's how we got all this. And then we got 3 big numbers we're adding. We use the pairing method. We add 15 plus 14, give us 29, and then we add 9, give us 38. And the numerator carries on. The denominator carries on, and we put the 38 for the numerator, so that we take 38 over 18. We use the arrow down. Why? Because it's an improper fraction. When I said arrow down, we convert that into a long division, which is division format. 38 divided by 18. Okay, so and then I translate that into a long division. 38 divided by 18. Because 38 is kind of into Mr. Mac, I put inside the cage. 18 is kind of out, I put outside. So we found the 2, that is a 218 inside 38, which gives me 36, minus give me 2 as the balance. The remainder 2 is the numerator. The division 18 is the denominator. The 2 is the round number. Alright? Okay, we always start with this one first, and then this one next, and then this will be the numerator. Alright? And then we looked at it. 2 over 18, it can be reduced. So we divide 2 by 2, 18 by 2 give us 1 over 9. And we carry the 2 across. And then we take that, we add it to the 7 from the whole number that we added from the very beginning. So 7 plus 2, 1 over 9. 7 plus 2 is 9, and carry that 1 over 9 next to it. That's your answer. Alright? Okay, good. Well, you learn how to add fractions. Alright? Everything that you need to know about adding fractions, right there. You just did it. Good job. I'm very proud of you. You did an awesome job. You deserve a break. Alright? So go ahead, take a break. Have a nice break. Have a nice something fresh, juice. Don't take pops. Anything with a carbonated, they're not good for you. Okay? Because a fit body creates a strong mind. Alright? So feed yourself with really something healthy, okay? And then come back, we will continue with subtraction, okay? And Mr. Max is going to erase the board, and I'll be here waiting for you after you take a nice break. Okay, you deserve it. You learned so much today. And it's a lot of stuff you learned today on the addition. And come back, and then we'll do the subtraction. I'll see you in a few minutes. I'll see you. Welcome back. How was the break? You had something really healthy and delicious? Good. Well, are you fresh enough to get going? Let's do it. Let's talk about subtraction, alright? Now, remember I kind of told you earlier, very beginning, what did I say? Addition and subtraction, they use the same principle. What the same principle is? The denominator has to be common. The common, okay? Then you can subtract. Just like addition, it got to be common in order to add. But subtraction, it has to be common in order to subtract. Alright? For the fractions. Okay? So let's look at it. Let's say, for example, if I give you 3 over 5 minus 1 over 5. I can subtract. Why? Because both has the common denominator. So that means 3 minus 1 is 2. 2 over 5. There you go. Pretty easy, isn't it? Okay, so as long the denominators are same, you can subtract. So I can give you anywhere, any combination. Let's say, for example, 9 over 24 minus 5 over 24. See that? They both are common. That means I can subtract. 9 minus 5 is 4. So 4 over 24. But look at it. You can simplify. Alright, so now remember, this is, sometimes they will just give you a question like this, and then they will see whether you realize that you have to they will try to see if you're simplifying it or not, because you have to, otherwise you will lose some points. Alright, okay, so we know the 4 can be divided by 4 and 24 can divide by 4. That means 4 divided by 4 is 1, 24 divided by 4 is 6. See that? Nice and simple form, the simplest form, 1 over 6. Comparing to 4 over 24, it looks a bit, you know what I'm saying, crowdy. Alright, so that's why you simplify to 1 over 6. That's how they use the word simplify. Alright, okay, good. So this one only applies if its denominators are same. What happened, they're not same? Let's say if they're not common. Let's say, for example, 3 over 4 minus 1 over 3. Can I subtract them? I can, but not now. I have to convert them. I have to convert them such a way that both will have a common denominator. So I have to find the lowest common multiplier, alright, for 4 and 3. So what would that be? 12. 4 times 3 is 12, okay? So that would be the lowest common multiplier for 4 and 3. So how do I go from 4 to 12? I multiply 4 by 3, okay? So that means I multiply 3 also by 3. So that makes it 9. 3 times 3 is 9. How do I go from 3 to 12? I multiply that by 4. 4 times 3 is 12. That means I also multiply the numerator also by 4. So 1 times 4 is 4. 9. Now can I subtract? Yes, because why? Both has the common denominator. 9 minus 4 is 5. So I just bring the denominator across. Just like the addition. You bring the denominator across. You do not do anything to it. The denominator never changes. Okay? Always stay the same. It's the numerator is the one that performs the operation that you're doing. If it's addition, you're adding. If it's subtraction, you're subtracting. Very important. Okay? So let's do another one. Let's say if I have 5 over 8 minus 1 over 4. What would be the? Exactly, good job. Right? Oops, must have dropped the. Okay, so 8 would be the common denominator because we cannot subtract. I kind of saw that, I just want you to say it, which you did. You said we cannot subtract it because they both are not common denominator. I can use 8 as a denominator, as a common, so we're going to put 8 and 8. Since I brought this 8 down, I just bring the 5 down also because I didn't expand that. But I did expand 4 into 8 by what? Multiplying it by 2. That means I have to multiply this also by 2. Okay? So 1 times 2 is 2. Now I subtract. 5 minus 2 is 3. And then I just bring the denominator across, which makes it 3 over 8. That's it. Very easy, isn't it? Alright? Now let's have mixed numbers. Alright? Mixed numbers subtracting with fraction. Let's say, for example, if I were to give you 5 minus 2 over 3. You said, oh, Mr. Mac, I don't have a fraction to subtract with a fraction. You don't have to. You take that 1 out of the 5 and make that into a fraction. What do I mean by that? You take, see, 4 plus 1 is 5, am I right? This 1, I'm going to change it into a fraction with the common denominator as 3. Alright? That means I'm going to make this a 3 over 3. Why did I pick 3 over 3? Because this fraction has a denominator as a 3. 3 over 3 is 1. See that? So that means I'm going to put like this. Now I can subtract. 3 minus 2 is 1. First I bring the 4 across because there's no whole number to subtract this 4 with. I just bring the 4 across. 3 minus 2 is 1. And then I bring the denominator across. That's it. See that? Now let's say, for example, the same problem if I were given like this. 5 minus 2 2 over 3. This time I have a round number, okay, a whole number. First, this one doesn't have a fraction and this one does. So take 1 out of the 4. Take 1 out of the 5 and make it 4, 3 over 3 minus 2, 2 over 3. See that? So now you get whole number and whole number subtracting, fraction and fraction subtracting. Okay, so 4 minus 2 is 2. 3 and 3, the common denominator. 3 minus 2 is 1 over 3. Do you see why I changed it 3 over 3? Because of that. Because this denominator is 3. Let's say, for example, if this would have been, let's say, 5 minus 2, 5 over 7. What would I do to the 1 out of the 5? I make that into a fraction. Into what form? 7 over 7. 7 over 7. Why 7 over 7? Because this denominator is 7. That way I can subtract it. I can subtract with 5 over 7. So now look at that. They both has common denominator. First I subtract the whole numbers first. 4 minus 2 is 2. 7 minus 5 is 2. And I carry the denominator across. 2, 2 over 7. Now be careful if I give you something like this. 4, 3 over 5 minus 2. See that? The 2 is a whole number and this is a whole number. There is no fraction I'm subtracting within this fraction. So I just subtract 4 minus 2 is 2 and bring the 3 over 5 across. That's it. Okay? Because I have no fraction, I don't have a fraction to subtract towards 3 over 5. In this case I do. See that? I do. But this one didn't have a fraction, that's why I took 1 out of the 5 and made it into a fraction. That way I can take 5 over 7 out of that to give me 2 over 7. In this case, I don't have a fraction. So I just carry this across. There's nothing for this to subtract with. See that? But only the whole number will be subtracted. 4 minus 2 is 2. Okay? And then I bring the 3 over 5 across. So now, let's say for example, well, let Mr. Mac erase the board so we get some room. I'll be back with you in a few seconds. Alright, my dear students. Now let's say for example, if I have 3, 2 over 3 minus 2, 1 over 2. So I got two mixed numbers, alright? Now, the same principle that we learned in addition. You subtract the whole numbers first, okay? 3 minus 2 is 1. Alright? Now, you got a fraction to subtract, but they're not common denominator. So you got to find a common denominator between 3 and 2, which would be 6. 3 times 2 is 6, okay? So we're going to put 6. What makes 3 to 6? By multiplying it by 2. That means I'm going to multiply that by 2 also. So 3 times 2 is 6, 2 times 2 is 4. How to convert 2 to 6? I multiply this by 3. That means I'm going to multiply the numerator also by 3. Okay? Because 2 times 3 is 6, 1 times 3 is 3. Now I'm going to subtract. Both has the common denominator. 4 minus 3 is 1. Before that I bring the whole number 1 first. 4 minus 3 is 1. And then I carry the denominator across. Right there. That's it, I know. It's so easy. This is so much easy. It's because because you're learning. You're taking everything in you and you're getting better. Your knowledge is just getting bigger and wider. That's what makes you special. Alright? Okay, now let's say for example, okay? If I have a 6, 1 over 3 minus 2, 1 over 4. What do? First we subtract the whole numbers, okay? 6 minus 2 is 4. Now I concentrate on the fraction. But are they common denominators? No. So I find the least common, okay, or lowest common multiplier between 3 and 4, which is 3 times 4 is 12. 12 would be the least or lowest common multiplier. How do I go from 3 to 12? I multiply this by 4. 4 times 3 is 12. That means I'm going to multiply the numerator also by 4. So 1 times 4 is 4. How do I go from 4 to 12? I times this by 3. Okay, 4 times 3 is 12. That means I'm numerator also I'm going to multiply that by 3. 1 times 3 is 3. I'm going to put a subtraction right there. Carry the subtraction across. Okay, so now I bring the 4 across this side. 4 minus 3 is 1. And then I bring this 12 across. Right there. That's it. Pretty easy, isn't it? Very straightforward. Okay, good. Straightforward. Okay, good. Okay, now let's say, for example, if I were to give you something like this. This is a bit challenging one. Okay, I want you to pay attention to this one. Okay, let's say, for example, I give you 3 1 over 4 minus 1 1 over 2. Okay, so first what are we going to do? We're going to subtract the whole numbers. Now remember, 3 belongs to 1 over 4 because it's right next to this one. This one belongs to that. So that means we're subtracting 1 out of the 3. Okay, I want you to pay attention to this one. Okay, this is a pretty challenging one, but it's very easy also. Okay, let's say, for example, if I give you 3 1 over 4 minus, let's say, 1 1 over 2. Okay, so 3 1 over 4 minus 1 1 over 2. In this case you got round number. Okay, whole number. We can subtract 3 and 1. That gives you 2. Okay, so next thing now we want to do is, look at this fraction. We're going to subtract, but they're not common denominator. But between 4 and 2, you know that 4 could be the common. Okay, so I'm going to put 4 and 4. Now look at this. How do I get 4 to 4? By multiplying by 1. Pretty much the same. So I'm just going to bring the 1 down. How do I go from 2 to 4? I multiply this by 2. That means I'm going to multiply the numerator also by 2. So 1 times 2 is 2. I'm going to bring the minus down. But look at this. 1 over 4 minus 2 over 4. The 1 is smaller. I cannot subtract. I have to borrow from this 2. That means I take 1 out of the 2 and make that into fraction. So that means 1 plus 1 plus 1 over 4 minus 2 over 4. Okay, so let rewrite that here. 1 plus 1 plus 1 over 4 minus 2 over 4. Do you see that? I broke this 2 into 1 plus 1 plus 1 over 4, which is same as that. I just break them into part like that. Minus 2 over 4. Why am I doing that? Because you know that you can't subtract the fraction because the 1 is smaller than 2. Okay, so that's why I have to borrow from 1. I broke them into 2 parts, 1 plus 1. Okay, now I'm going to change that into a fraction such that I can add that to 1 over 4. So what do I change the 1 into? Very good, 4 over 4. So 4 over 4 plus 1 over 4 plus 1 minus 2 over 4. So I'm going to combine this two, which will becomes 5 over 4. 5 over 4, and then just bring the 1 next to it. And then minus 2 over 4. Now I can subtract. 5 minus 2. See that? Why I did all this? Because earlier we couldn't. 1 minus 2, because 1 is smaller than 2. I cannot subtract. I have to borrow from 1 from 2, and that's what I did. See that? Does that make sense? Now 5 minus 2 is 3. Bring the 4 across and bring the 1 across. Right there. Pretty easy, isn't it? Okay? Pretty straightforward. Okay, let's review that again. Alright? I gave you 3 1 over 4 minus 1 1 over 2. And we can subtract the whole number. Always start with the whole number. 3 minus 1 is 2. Now, we got fraction now. They are not common denominator. So we find the lowest common multiplier. And we know that 4 would be the ideal. So I put 4 and 4. So since this is 4, I just bring the 1 down. How do I go from 2 to 4? Multiply that by 2. And I multiply the numerator also by 2. So that makes it 2 over 4. I cannot subtract them. Why? Because 1 is smaller than 2. So I have to borrow from 1. So I broke the 2 into 1 plus 1 plus 1 over 4, which is same as 2 1 over 4. I convert that 1 into 4 over 4 plus 1 over 4 gives me 5 over 4. The one brought down there. Minus 2 over 4. Now I can subtract. 5 minus 2, 3. Bring the 4 across and bring the 1 across. Right there. Okay, good. Alright, let Mr. Mac erase the board. Let's do more problems, okay? I'll be back with you in a few seconds. Alright, my dear students, let's say for example, if I have 4, 1 over 6 minus 3 over 4. So look at this, alright? Now, I got 4 here, but I have no whole number there. So there's no whole number to subtract, alright? But we got fraction subtracting with fraction, but they're not common denominator. So I got to find a common denominator between 6 and 4. So what would be for 6 and 4, the lowest common multiplier? Now you can use the ladder method, okay, the one-leg ladder method. You can put 6 and 4, you divide that by 2, you get 3 and 2, alright? And you can divide that another 2, so it gives you 1, and bring the 3 down. And you divide this by 3, gives you 1, 1. See that? So now I can multiply. 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 3 is 12. So 12 is my common multiplier. Okay, the lowest common multiplier for 6 and 4. Alright, so I'm going to bring the 4 down because I'm not subtracting with any other, I don't have another whole number to subtract with. How do I get from 6 to 12? I multiply that by 2. That means I'm going to multiply the numerator as well with 2. So 1 times 2 is 2 because 6 times 2 is 12. How do I get from 4 to 12? I multiply that by 3. 4 times 3 is 12. That means the numerator, so I'm going to multiply that by 3. 3 times 3 is 9. Look at this. Both has the common denominator. But look at that. 2 minus 9. You can't. So you have to borrow from 4. Alright? So that means I'm going to say 3 plus 1 plus 2 over 12 minus 9 over 12. See that? I kind of just broke them apart like that. Why? So that way I can find out what to change 1 into so that I can add with 2 over 12. So what do I change 1 into? 12 over 12. Why 12 over 12? The numerator, the denominator here is 12. So this make the decision. The denominator here 12, I make the 1 also 12 over 12. That means I can combine them. I combine with this. Alright? Okay? So that makes it 3. 12 plus 2 is 14 over 12. Now I can subtract with 9 over 12. See that? 14 minus 9 is 5. I bring the 3 across. 14 minus 9 is 5 over 12. I just bring the denominator across. Right there. See that? Okay. So pretty easy, isn't it? Okay, now let's say for example, if I give you a challenging problem like this. 4, 1 over 3 minus 2, 1 over 2 minus 1, 1 over 4. It's actually very easy. You use the combination method. What does that mean? It's combination. You solve this first. After you solve that, and then you solve that. Alright? So let's take that. Let's take these two first, combine. We subtract them, alright? So 4 minus 2 is 2. Now I got to find a common denominator between 3 and 2, which is 6. Alright? So we're going to make this 6, and we're going to make that 6. How do I go from 3 to 6? By multiplying it by 2, okay? So 2. That means I'm going to multiply the numerator also by 2. So 3 times 2 is 6, 1 times 2 is 2. How do I go from 2 to 6? Multiply that by 3. Okay, I'm going to multiply this by 3. I'm going to multiply this by 3. 2 times 3 is 6. 1 times 3 is 3. Now look at that. 2 over 6 minus 3 over 6. They're both common denominator. We can subtract. But the only problem we are facing is 2 is smaller than 3. I cannot subtract. That means I have to borrow from 1. Very good. So I have to borrow from 2, 1. Okay, I'm going to take 1 from 2. So that means 1 plus 2 over 6 minus 3 over 6. And what I change this 1 into? 6 over 6. Very good. Why 6 over 6? The denominator is 6. Okay, so that way I can combine them. If I pick different number, I cannot combine them. Okay, so that makes it 8 over 6, and then 1 minus 3 over 6. 8 minus 3 is 5 over 6. And bring the 1 down. Now I'm going to bring this one down. 1 minus 1 over 4. So minus 1 over 4. 1 minus 1 gone, 0. Okay, so now I have to find a common denominator between 6 and 4, which is 12. All right, we can use the ladder method. We'll come to 12. Okay, the one leg ladder method. So 12 and 12 minus. How do I go from 6 to 12? I multiply this by 2. All right, if I multiply this by 2, I have to multiply this also by 2. 5 times 2 is 10. How do I go from 4 to 12? I multiply this by 3. That means I have to multiply this also by 3. 1 times 3 is 3. Because 4 times 3 is 12. So that's why I'm multiplying that also by 3. Okay, 1 times 3 is 3. Now look there, I can subtract. 10 minus 3 is 7. 7 over, carry the 12 across. Right there. Pretty easy, isn't it? Okay, and that's your final answer right there. Okay? It does intimidate you, but it's not. It's not that, it's pretty easy, isn't it? Use the combination method. Solve this two first. After you've done that, then you subtract. Don't try to solve all one shot. Then it's going to make it harder. It's going to make it harder on you. Okay? Alright. Okay, let Mr. Mac erase the board and let's do a couple more problems, and that way it makes you comfortable. Alright? And then we'll do the hands-on practice. I'll be back within a few seconds. Alright, my dear students. Let's say, for example, I give you a problem. Okay? Let's say the problem is, let's say 4, 3 over 4 minus 1, 1 over 5 minus 2. How do we do this? When you have 3 numbers like this, okay, with mixing with the mixed numbers and round number, you always do the combination method. What do I mean by that? Okay, you always use the pairing method. What do I mean by that? You pair this first, solve the operation that involves these two, and then you solve with that. Okay, now keep in mind, this one is in the form of addition mode, because there's a plus there, but you don't show it, because whenever plus in the very front, you put in the front, you don't show the plus or positive. But this one is in a subtraction mode, and this one also in subtraction mode, because what's in front of that number, the sign, that's the operation that number is performing. In this case, it's subtracting. That means you're going to subtract this out of that. After you're done, you're going to subtract that out of that. Okay, so let's do that. Let's do this two first. 4 minus 1 is 3. And now we're going to find the common denominator between 4 and 5, which is be 20. 4 times 5 is 20. Okay, now again, you can also use the one leg ladder method. Okay, we'll give you also 20. So how do I get from 4 to 20? I multiply this by 5. Okay, that means I'm also going to multiply the numerator also by 5. Very important. Okay, I'm just going to repeat it, even though you already know it by now, that if I multiply the denominator by 5, I have to multiply the numerator by 5. Okay, so that means 3 times 5 is 15. Now, how do I go from 5 to 20? Also, I times this with 4. Very good. Okay, because 5 times 4 is 20. That means I'm also going to multiply the numerator also by 4. 1 times 4 is 4. So now I can subtract. 15 minus 4 is 11 over 20, and I bring the 3 across. Now I bring the minus 2 down. There is no fraction to subtract, only the round number, a whole number. 3 minus 2 is 1. And I bring the 11 over 20 across. That's it. Pretty easy, isn't it? Very straightforward. Okay, I just give you a different combination. I just want you to understand that. All right, okay, good. Now let's say, for example, if I give you, let's say 6 minus 3, 2 over 3 minus 1, 1 over 5. How do you do this? Again, using the pairing method. Pairing, you pair this one, whatever operation that involved in that pair, you perform that. After you're done, and then you pair with that and perform the operation that required on that pair. Okay, so in this case we are subtracting in this pair, so we're going to take 6 minus 3, 2 over 3. So 6 minus 3, 2 over 3. Before we subtract with the whole numbers, this one has a fraction, so this one doesn't have a fraction, so I have to take 1 out of the 6 and change it into a fraction. So that means I'm going to write 5, very good, 3 over 3. Why 3 over 3? Because this one denominator is 3. Okay, that 1 I change it to 3 over 3, because 3 over 3 is what? 1. 1 plus 5 is 6. See that? So now I can subtract. 5 minus 3, it's 2. Both has common denominator. 3 minus 2 is 1, and then carry the denominator. Now I completed this two, now I bring this one down. Minus 1 over 5. 2 minus 1 is 1. 3 and 5, I find a common denominator. So in this case, I'm going to find 3 times 5 is 15. So I'm going to use 15 as my denominator. All right? So, wake up call. Are you sleeping there? No, I'm just teasing. Mr. Max, alarm, my hand alarm clock, hand watch, my hand watch alarm, trying to tell me that it's time for hands-on practice. Not yet, not yet. Oh, Pablo's going to start popping out and say, did you say something about hands-on practice? No, Pablo, keep doing your keep doing the worksheet. All right, so we take 3 and 5. 15 would be the common denominator. Okay, it's because 3 times 5 is 15. So how do I go from 3 to 15? I multiply 3 with 5. 3 times 5 is 15. If I multiply this by 5, I multiply this also by 5. 1 times 5 is 5. How do I go from 5 to 15? I multiply this by 3. That means I also multiply this by 3. 1 times 3 is 3 minus. Alright? So now look at that. 5. Now first, they both are common denominator. Alright? So 5 minus 3 is 2. So I'm going to bring the 1 down. 5 minus 3 is 2. And then bring the 15 across. And then can I simplify 2 over 15? No. So I leave it the answer like this. That's my final answer. That's why the one thing you always ask yourself, once you come to this, down to this, ask yourself, 11 over 20, can I simplify? Nope. That's it. That's your answer right there. That's your answer right there. See that? Pretty easy, isn't it? Very straightforward. The principle, the key thing that you need to remember, what is it? When you subtract, the denominator has to be common. Alright? If the number that you're subtracting with, it's smaller, alright, then you borrow from the round number, okay, or the whole number, okay, and then make sure the denominators are common. If it's change the 1 into the same as the denominator of the fraction you're going to add that with, okay. So alright, so good. That's it. That's the key thing that you need to know. Alright, so looks like you do good in the hands-on practice. Alright, and Mr. Mac erase the board and we'll get Pablo out. Okay, I'll be back with you in a few seconds. Alright, my dear students, are you ready? Are you sure you're ready? I'm so glad you are ready. I know you are ready. And Pablo also is ready to bring you the hands-on practice worksheet. Alright, Pablo, come on over, Pablo, come on over. Here is our dear Pablo. He got some problems set up for us for the hands-on practice, and he's going to hand over to you and have fun. Alright, have really fun, and then come back, we'll work together. Okay, so here it is. Have fun. Oh yes, okay, good. Not bad, isn't it? He gave you 10 questions, which is good. The more you practice, the more you're going to learn, the better you're going to be, alright? Good. How was it? Good job. I'm so happy to hear that you got all 10 questions done and you feel good about it. Alright, what do we do? Let's just go to the quiz? No, we'll do it together. You share notes, alright? Okay, good. Come on over. Okay, let's do problem number 1. Now they ask us to solve all the followings, alright, all the problems. The problem number 1, you're given 3 over 7 minus 2 over 7. Pretty easy, isn't it? Why? Because its common denominator is the same. See, that's 7 7. That means we can subtract. 3 minus 2 is 1, and we just carry the 7 across. That's it. Okay, good. All right, now let's look at problem number 2. Problem number 2, you got 3 over 5 minus 1 over 4. Now this one we can't subtract yet. Why? The denominators are not common, so we got to find the lowest. Okay, the lowest common multiplier. So what would be the lowest common multiplier for 5 and 4? 5 times 4 is 20. Can you see anything lower than 20 that 5 and 4 can divide? No. Okay, so 20 would be the lowest. Okay, the lowest multiplier. And how do I go from 5 to 20? I multiply this by 4. That means I'm going to multiply the 3 also by 4, which makes it 12. And how do I go from 4 to 20? I multiply this by 5, and that means the numerator also I multiply that by 5. Okay, so that makes it 5. Okay, 1 times 5 is 5. Now I can subtract because both has the common denominator. 12 minus 5 is, very good, 7 over 20. I just bring the 20 across. Okay, can we simplify? No, that's it. Okay, if you can simplify, you should do that. Or otherwise, leave the answer the way it is. Okay, problem number 3. So you got 7 minus 2 over 3. Now you got a fraction here, but you don't have a fraction here. All right, what do? You take 1 out of the 7 and turn that into a fraction. So you got 7. Oh. So you take 1 out of the 7, you make it a fraction. So we put 6 plus 1 minus 2 over 3. See that? That's the one I'm going to change it into fraction. What do I do with this 1? This will make the decision for me, 3. So that makes it this one 3 over 3. Okay? So I'm going to subtract that. So they both are common. 3 minus 2 is 1. So I carry the 6 across. So 1 over 3. See that? Pretty easy, isn't it? Very straightforward. Okay? So looks number 4. Number 4, you got 3 minus 1 5 over 8. See that? This time I got a number also, okay, a whole number to subtract with. Okay, so 3 minus 1 will be 2. But now again, you also got a fraction. So I'm going to take 1 out of the 3 and make it into a fraction. So I'm going to put 2, and this decide whether I'm going to, what type of fraction I'm going to create that 1 into, which would be 8 over 8 minus 1 5 over 8. See that? Now I can subtract. 2 minus 1 is 1. 8, 8, the common denominator. 8 minus 5 is 3. So that makes it 3 over 8. Right there. So it'll be 1, 3 over 8. You got it? Good job. You're awesome. You're awesome. Okay, let's do problem number 5. Okay, problem number 5, which is 5, 3 over 4 minus 2, 1 over 3. Okay, so we got round number, whole number, we can subtract. 5 minus 2 is 3. Okay, so they're not common denominator, so I cannot subtract yet. I have to find a common denominator between 4 and 3, which will be 12. Okay, so we're going to put 12 and 12. We're going to put minus. How do I go from 4 to 12? I multiply that by 3. That means I'm going to multiply this also by 3. So 3 times 3 is 9. How do I go from 3 to 12? I multiply this by 4. That means I multiply that one also by 4. The numerator also by 4. So that makes it 1 times 4 is 4. So now I can subtract. Both has a common denominator. 9 minus 4 is 5. First I bring the 3 across. 9 minus 4 is 5. And since both has a common denominator, I can subtract them. So I bring the denominator across. You never change the denominator. Denominator always stay the same. Is the numerator is the one you are performing the operation of a subtraction. Okay, good. Okay, now let's look problem number 6. Problem number 6, you got 4, 1 over 2 minus 5 over 6. Okay, so you have no whole number to subtract the 4 with, so you can leave the 4 the way it is, but you got 2 fractions to subtract. All right, but the denominator are not same, so I got to find the common denominator. Always look between these two. Can I make one of them to be common? 6. So 6 will make the lowest common multiplier. So that means I'm going to put 6 and 6, then put the minus. To go from 2 to 6, I multiply 2 with what? 3. That makes it to 6. That means I'm going to multiply the numerator also by 3. So that makes it 3 over 6. To go from 6 to 6, pretty much same. I just bring the 5 down, alright? They're pretty much same. Now, can I subtract? Look at this. 3 minus 5. You can't, because 3 is small. Smaller than 5. So I have to borrow 1 from 4. So when I take 1 from 4, that becomes 3. Actually, 3 plus 1 plus 3 over 6 minus 5 over 6. Now, what do I do to this 1? I convert that into fraction, such a way I can combine with this. Now, what decide what type of fraction I'm going to make? The denominator is 6. So I make this into 6 over 6. That means I can combine with that. Alright? So I'm going to rewrite there 3 plus 6 over 6 plus 3 over 6 minus 5 over 6. See that? Why do I pick 6 over 6? So now I can combine this two. So 6 plus 3 is 9 over 6. And then I just put 3 next to it, minus 5 over 6. Now I can subtract 9 minus 6. Because both denominators are common. Alright? So 9 minus 5 is 4. Okay? So 4 over 6. And I bring the 3 down there. Alright? Am I done? No. Why? Because I can simplify. I can divide this by 2. I can divide this by 2. That makes it 3. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. So that makes it 3. 2 over 3. Alright? Pretty easy, isn't it? Very straightforward. Okay? So keep in mind. So we had 4, 3 over 6 minus 5 over 6. The 3 is smaller to subtract with 5. I have to borrow 1 from 4. And that brings it down 4 to be 3. I can't break it down 3 plus 1. So that means I can change this into a fraction such a way they have a common denominator. So I put 6 over 6. 6 plus 3 is 9. So 6 over 6. 6 plus 3 is 9. And then the denominator is same. Now I can subtract. 9 minus 5 is 4. And then you bring the denominator across. And also bring the 3 down. Now this can be simplified. Divide that by 2. Divide that by 2. Gives me 3. 2 over 3. Okay, good. Alright, let Mr. Mac erase the board and we'll do problem 7, 8, 9 and 10. I'll be back within a few seconds. Alright, problem number 7, okay? Problem number 7, we got 6, 1 over 3 minus 4, 7 over 8. Alright, so look at that. You got round whole number and a whole number. Let's subtract that. 6 minus 4 is 2. Now you got 3 and 8, a fraction with a denominator 3 and denominator 8, and we cannot subtract that. So we have to find the lowest common multiplier. How do we do that? One way of doing it is by using the ladder method. But in this case, we can also decide 3 times 8 is 24, and with 24, can you think of anything smaller than 24 that 3 and 8 can divide by? No. So 24 would be the lowest common multiplier. So we're going to put 24 and 24. And we're going to subtract them. How do I get 3 to 24? I multiply 3 with 8. 8 times 3 is 24. So that means I'm also going to multiply the numerator with 8. That means 1 times 8 is 8. How do I go from 8 to 24? I multiply that with 3. That means I'm going to multiply the numerator also with 3. 7 times 3 is 21. Now look at this. You got 8 minus 21. I cannot subtract. That means I have to borrow 1 from the 2. So that means 1 plus 1 plus 8 over 24 minus 21 over 24. And I make this one into what form? Exactly, 24 over 24. Why 24 over 24? See that? The denominator is 24. So that way I can combine them because they have a common denominator. See that? So now I can combine them. So that makes it 24 plus 8. So 24 plus 8. 4 plus 8 is 2, 12. 2 carry 1, 32. Okay? So that makes it 32 over 24. And then bring the 1 next to it. Minus 21 over 24. Alright? So now we're subtracting this 2. We can because now we have the common denominator. So we take 32 minus 21. 2 minus 1 is 1. 3 minus 2 is 1. See that? That makes it. Bring the 1 across. 11 over 24. You got it? Good job. Okay, so can I simplify that? No, I can't. That's the final answer. If you cannot, that should be it. All right, if you can, go ahead, simplify it. Very important. Okay, you always give the simplest form. That's the right way to express fraction. Okay, good. Now let's look problem number 8. Problem number 8, we're given 12 minus 3 2 over 5 minus 4 1 over 3. How do we do this? Exactly, very good. We're going to use the pairing method. We're going to pair this two first. We're going to solve it first and then we're going to solve it with that. Alright? Okay? Always, that's the best way. Don't try to solve it. That's why it makes it look so difficult if you try to solve it like this. Once you pair them and solve it and then pair it again with another one and then solve it, it's going to be so easy. Okay? So let's take this too. So we're going to take 12 minus 3 2 over 5. I'm going to take 1 out of the 12 and make it into a fraction so I can subtract with that. Alright, so that means 11, 5 over 5 minus 3, 2 over 5. See what I did? Because look, 5 over 5 is 1. 1 plus 12, 1 plus 11 is 12. See that? Okay, so now I can subtract. 11 minus 3 is 8. 5 common denominator. 5 minus 2 is 3. 3 over 5. Okay, so now I can bring this one down. Alright, so I take 8 3 over 5 minus 4 1 over 3. Round number or a whole number and whole number I can subtract. So 8 minus 4 is 4. Now I got to find a common denominator for 5 and 3, the lowest common multiplier. Alright, so that way I can subtract 5 and 3 by multiplying. I should have that as my lowest common multiplier, which will be 15 and 15. And how do I get 5 to 15? I multiply that by 3. That means I'm going to multiply the numerator also by 3. 3 times 3 is 9 because 5 times 3 is 15. Okay, how do I get 3 to 15? I multiply this with 5. That means the numerator also I'm going to multiply with 5. 1 times 5 is 5. I'm going to subtract them. So now I can subtract because both has the common denominator. So 9 minus 5 is 4 over 15. You bring the denominator. Okay, you do not do anything with it. It's only the numerator is the one is performing the operation of the subtraction. Okay, and can I simplify it? No, I can't. That's it. That's the final answer. Okay, good. Alright, let Mr. Mac erase the board so that makes room for problem number 9 and 10. I'll be back with you in a few seconds. Alright, problem number 9, okay? Now let's look at problem number 9. So we got 8 over 9 minus 4 1 over 3 minus 2 5 over 6. No, don't get nervous. I know you didn't. It's easy, isn't it? Alright, good. Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that. It is easy. Why? Because we're going to use the pairing method. I know it looks like, oh my goodness, even Mr. Mac was like, oh, Pablo. Then I thought about it. You know what? If you use the pairing method, it's pretty easy. Very easy. Just pair this two, solve it, and then pair with that. And solve it. That's it. Let's do it. Okay, so we're going to take 8 over 9 minus 4 1 over 3. So 8 minus 4 is 4. Now we're going to find the common denominator between 9 and 3, which would be what? 9. 9 would be the lowest common multiplier. Okay, so that means I'm just going to bring the 8 over 9 straight down. 3, how do I get 3 to 9? I multiply that by 3. That means I'm going to multiply the numerator also by 3. 1 times 3 is going to be 3. 8 minus 3 is going to be 5. So 5 over 9, and I bring the 4th down. That's it. Not yet, because we're going to do this one. Okay, it's only done for this pair. Okay, so now we're going to bring that one. Okay, so we're going to put 4 5 over 9 minus 2 5 over 6. We can subtract with the whole number. 4 minus 2 is going to be 2. Now we're going to find the common denominator or the lowest common multiplier for 9 and 6. All right, so what we can do, we can use the one leg ladder method. Okay, we're going to put 9 and 6. We're going to divide by 3. Well, we're going to start with the smallest, would be the 2. Okay, we're going to start with 2, so 9, and then this one becomes 3, because 6 divided by 2 is 3, and then we're going to divide this by 3. 9 divided by 3 is 3, 3 divided by 3 is 1, and then we're going to divide again 3 and make this one 1 and then 1. See that? Our goal is to bring it down to 1. That's why I'm keep dividing until, even though this one's already came to 1, but this one's still in 3. That's why I have to divide another 3 to bring it down to 1. So once they both are 1, now I multiply 2 times 3 times 3. So 2 times 3 is 6, 6 times 3 is 18. So that means 18 is my common denominator. Okay, how do I go from 9 to 18? I multiply this by 2. That means I'm going to multiply the numerator also by 2. 5 times 2 is 10. How do I go from 6 to 18? I multiply this by 3. That means I'm going to multiply the numerator also by 3. So 5 times 3 is 15. See that? But now look at this. 10 minus 5. I cannot. So I have to borrow from 2. So I borrow 1 from 2. So that means 1 plus 1 plus 10 over 18 minus 15 over 18. This 1, I change it to what? Very good. 18 over 18. Why? Because the denominator is 18. That means I can combine them. Alright? So I'm going to write down here. So 1 plus 18 over 18 plus 10 over 18 minus 15 over 18. Okay, I can combine this two. So that makes it 18 plus 10 is, so 18 plus 10, 8 plus 0 is 8, 1 plus 1 is 2. So that makes it 28 over 18. Alright, 28 over 18 minus 15 over 18. So now we're going to subtract because the denominators are same. So 28 minus 15. So I'm going to take 28 minus 15. 8 minus 5 is 3. 2 minus 1 is 1. So that gives me 13 over 18. Can I simplify with 13 and 18? There is no common number I can divide both of them with. So that means this is the final answer. Alright? Pretty easy, isn't it? Okay, good. Very easy. You just use the combination method, okay? The pairing method. Okay, let's look problem number 10, the final problem. So number 10, you're given 7 1 over 2 minus 4 2 over 3 minus 2. Again, what method we're going to use? The pairing method. Good job. So we're going to pair this first and then solve it, and then we're going to solve it with that one. Okay, so we're going to write down 7 1 over 2 minus 4 2 over 3. So 7 minus 4 is 3. And what's the common denominator or lowest common multiplier for 2 and 3? 6. Okay, so we're going to make 6 as our common denominator. So how do I go from 2 to 6? By multiplying 3. Okay, 2 times 3 is 6. That means I'm also going to multiply the numerator also by 3. Okay, so that makes it 1 times 3 is 3. How do I go from 3 to 6? I multiply that by 2. That means the numerator also I multiply that by 2. So 2 times 2 is 4. Okay, now look at that. 3 minus 4. I can't. I cannot, because 3 is smaller than 4. Because the denominators are same, so I can subtract, but in this case I couldn't continue subtracting because 3 is smaller than 4. That means I have to borrow 1 from 3. So this 3 becomes 2 plus 1 plus 3 over 6 minus 4 over 6. And what do I do this to this one? I convert that into a fraction, and what denominator am I going to use? 6. See that? That makes the decision for me. So 6 over 6 plus 3 over 6 plus 2 minus 4 over 6. And I can combine this 2 becomes 9 over 6. And I put the 2 next to it. See that? So 9 minus 4 is 5. Okay, I bring the 2 down. So I put 5 over 6. 5 over 6. Can I simplify this? No, that's the simplest form. Alright? And that should be my final answer. That's a lot. And you did all of them and you got it right. That's what makes you the champion. You are awesome. You are the best. I am so proud of you. Wow, that's a lot of questions Pablo got you worked out for you. And you did a great job. I'm so proud of you. I am. Well, there is more waiting for you, which will be the quiz, all right? And yes, Pablo. Okay, all right, Pablo, thank you. All right, so go ahead, take the quiz. Now, before you do that, take a break. I know it's such a long problems, 10 problems. Pablo, you've been really tough on my students, all right? Which is good. You're challenging them, all right? Right, yeah, you just said that earlier. I dare you, okay? Because he wants the best. He's good. He's really trying hard to make you get smart. Actually, he's not, I shouldn't say trying hard. He wants you to be smart, and you are by working hard, all right? And that's the goal is with Math with 3. Score a Math with 3 is to give you a lot of problems so that you can work on your own, so that way you get good, okay? And I want you to be the best. And you are the best. And that's why Mr. Mac is here, only to bring the best, because you deserve the best. And it's coming from the best, all right? All right, boys and girls. All right, my dear students, go and have fun with the quiz, okay? And then come back and see me in the next lesson, next up lesson. I'll be here waiting for you, because I'm excited. I'm going to teach you multiplication and division on the fraction. Oh, it's going to be so much fun, all right? Go get them in your quiz and then come back. And I'll be waiting here for my champions to be back. Bye-bye.